Hello? Sound check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Alright, let's go.
Welcome to The Good Life with David, where we talk about the goodness of life without turning a blind eye to the things that make it less good. I appreciate you listening to the podcast, and if you have not yet done so, please follow this podcast wherever you're listening. But this is only available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Enjoy today's episode. Hello, everyone. This is David Arahan, and welcome back to the podcast. As some of you may know, I am a huge fan of NBA basketball. And even though I am a die-hard Lakers and Kobe fan, I'll use Michael Jordan as our first example. He was drafted in 1984, third overall pick in the draft. And throughout his whole career, he was considered to be the greatest of all time, the GOAT. And however, he won his first championship in 1991 with the Bulls. If I did the math right, that was 7 years. 7 long years of struggling in the playoffs before getting to the first championship, to his first finals appearance. But he was able to do it 3 times in a row in 2 occasions. So, three peats rather in his whole career. And moving on to Colonel Sanders, he was fired from a variety of jobs throughout his career before he first started cooking chicken in his roadside shell service station in 1930. When he was 40 years old, during the Great Depression, his gas station didn't actually have a restaurant, so he served diners in his attached personal living quarters. Over the next 10 years, he perfected his quote unquote secret recipe and pressure fryer cooking method for his famous fried chicken and moved on to bigger locations. To make the long story short, it didn't work out right away and he was essentially broke. He drove around, sleeping in his car, and he was rejected more than 1,000 times before finally finding his first partner. And because of that, we now have and enjoy the famous Kentucky Fried Chicken, which I've personally loved. Also, Vera Wang. She failed to make the 1968 US Olympic figure skating team, and she then became an editor at Vogue, but was passed over the editor in chief position. She began designing wedding gowns at 40 and now one of the premier designers in the fashion industry, and her business is worth well over $1 billion already. Wow. They are just some of the great examples of success sprouting out from failures and years of hard work. And you can go ahead actually and check more on the internet. I'm sure there's a handful of inspiring stories just like the ones I've shared with you guys today. I wanted to share at least 3 stories of success of other people in order to emphasize that slow progress is still progress. Michael Jordan had 7 long years of struggling in the playoffs before he won his first championship. But that 7 years wasn't taken against him. What people remember about Michael Jordan is his greatness. The fact that he was able to win championships 3 times in a row and being able to do that twice is a great accomplishment, which is technically almost impossible um to be repeated today or in the near future. And what's amazing about Colonel Sanders, he was rejected 1,000 times before he was able to find the perfect partner for his business. And he was actually really old when he founded or when KFC really, boomed. Also with Vera Wang, she started designing gowns at 40 years old, which most people would um, see as a very old age already to start anything or any businesses. But that didn't stop her. But more on that later on. I also want to use my personal life as an example with regards to this topic. Let's just use the podcast. I've been wanting to do or try podcasting for years already. However, hindi naman ganun katagal. Siguro mga 2 to 3 years already. And I didn't start doing it until this year. It took me at least 3 years before I started doing podcasts because I wanted to have something perfect or at least close to perfection. I'll explain that later on. I wanted to have the right or if not the best equipment to record the podcast. I wanted to read more books, experience more things, or meet more people in order to share something valuable to others. To the listeners, I wanted to share something that they can use to make their lives better or to improve their day. I just don't want to share anything random that the listeners won't get any value out of it. And yeah, that was one factor that was preventing me from actually doing it. But finally, thank God I was able to start it this year, and hopefully I'll be able to do it consistently, and I'll be able to, adapt to changes in order for me to improve. Because I it took me so long to realize that I will not be able to be good at something if I don't start it. And that leads me to my next point. I wanted to be good already. I wanted to be great in what I'm supposed to do already before actually doing it. That was my mentality throughout. Because I raised myself. Wow, I raised myself. But I grew up thinking that I have to always do something good or great. I always have to have an output that is close to perfection if I cannot really have it done perfectly. Because throughout my life, iniisip ko na in order for other people to see me, in order for other people to recognize me, not that I want to be famous or popular or really relevant, pero bago i-acknowledge ng mga tao sa paligid ko yung aking existence, yung aking presence, I really have to prove myself that I can do this, I can do that, I can be this, and I can be that. That was my mentality throughout my life and even up until now. And those are the factors stopping me from actually doing things in my life because I already want to be good at it. Because I was or I am quite scared that people won't actually engage, watch, or listen to anything that I produce, or when I do try to do something that they won't pay attention if it's needed because it's not great, it's not good, it's not close to perfection. That was the mentality. And that was just wrong. Actually, in the first few episodes of the podcast, I was reading a script. The first episode was spontaneous. It's quite obvious. But with the next episodes, I read a script or read scripts in order for me to be able to convey the things that I want to share perfectly or at least close to perfection. I wanted to be able to say the right things. I want to be able to again properly convey the message that I want to share to the listeners. That's why I read scripts and most of them are my previous blogs and blogs that I have not produced or published yet. But those are still my words. But eventually right now I'm not reading a script besides the first part of the episode kasi kailangan ko talagang i-lay down yung information about the lives of the people I mentioned earlier. Pero right now, I don't have a script. I just have a topic guide or outline of the things that I should be able to share throughout the episode. Pero wala na akong binabasa. Although, medyo worried ako kasi nga clouded ako mag-isip. Yung thoughts ko ay magulo at hirap ako sa storytelling because it, kung saan-saan napupunta. Kung saan-saan nasasangay-sangay ang daming kong na ipapasok na hindi na totally related. That's why I wanted to have a script in order for my thoughts to be organized. In order for me to be able to share it with you properly. Nang maiintindihan nyo. Pero I was able to realize that it somehow loses its authenticity. Na parang hindi na siya authentic. And parang feeling ko it's quite pretentious. Tsaka isa pa, I wanted to share thoughts through the podcast nang nag-i-English ako. Kaso hindi naman talaga ako magaling mag-English. So I have to have a guide in order for me to do that. Pero ngayon, sabi ko, hindi na ako kailangan maging pretentious kung kailangan ko magsalita ng Tagalog in order for me to properly relay the message. Okay lang yun. Kaya ako lang naman din gustong mag-English is because one, I want to improve. Two, I want to have a wider audience reach. So that's why. Pero ayun nga, it's all part of my process or my progress in order to improve dito sa larangan ng podcasting. But this is also the goal for doing other things in my life. That it's okay to take tiny little steps. Sobrang tiny na yun ha. Tiny na little pa. So it's okay to take little steps as long as it gets me towards my goals. So ayun. Pero ayun, hopefully with this changes in the podcast, I'll still be able to convey the message that I want to share. However, I'm pretty sure that there will be multiple occasions where I will not be able to do that with correct grammar construction kasi sobrang hina ako sa mga basic rules ng English email tuloy ng English constructions. So ayan, sana hayag ko pa rin yung mga gusto kong sabihin ng maayos at na maiintindihan nyo. And also, I want to add, I want this podcast to be my training grounds as well. Malay natin in the future, I'll be able to have a career sa radio broadcasting or something else na magagamit ko yung kadaldalan ko. And sabi ko, I might not be able to improve or be better in terms of speaking into an audience or interviewing other people kapag I hide behind reading a script. So it's not totally bad. May talagang certain occasions where you have to read something. Pero siguro, this is one way for me to improve the craft that I'm currently doing. But all in all, babalik pa rin tayo dun sa ating topic na slow progress is still progress. As long as it's part of your growth, as long as it pushes you towards your goals, okay lang yan. And I want to share something with you. I think if you're listening to the podcast, ay na-upload ko na yung podcast ko about my high school life. And I think I was able to share this in that podcast. Pero this will give more context sa topic natin ngayon. Back in my high school life, nung first year ako, I was able to have an academic award, Best in Filipino. And yun na yun. And throughout my high school journey, 6 years yun eh, I really wanted to have an academic award, at least yung bronze medal. Kasi sa Rooters, it's bronze medalist, silver medal, and then the gold medal. So, hindi naman ganun kataas yung pangarap ko. I just wanted to have the bronze medal. And every year, throughout the term, or throughout the end of the year, laging kapos ng ilang points. Or minsan nga, decimal na lang eh. Point, as in, sobrang point decimal na lang something yung kulang para ma-achieve ko yung bronze. Pero I always fail to get it. Hindi laging sapat or laging kulang. That's the best way to put it. Laging kulang yung effort ko. Kung nag-e-effort ba talaga ako. Pero lagi siyang kulang. But nung grade 12 ako, my mother actually talked to me about this. Sabi niya, graduating ka na, magseryoso ka naman na. Magbigay ka na talaga ng effort. So that's what I did. I pushed myself to at least do everything that I can that time to have the bronze medal after 6 years or 5 years mahigit na pagtatry na hindi ko yung nakukuha. So, my life went on nung grade 12. Ayan. Tapos, fast forward to the day kung saan in-announce na yung mga awards. And I actually got silver medal. Pero hindi ako nagyayabang. Sabi ko nga sa teacher ko that time na parang, ma'am, di ko po ata deserve yung silver medal. I just wanted to have the bronze medal. Pero, that's how it is. God works in ways completely different on how we plan our lives. So, I'm really thankful to be able to have the silver medal. Kasi it's beyond my expectations. It's beyond what I promised to my parents. And I wanted to use that story as well because it took me 6 years in order to get me to the goal that I want or in order to have the goal that I've been wanting for years. And I was able to have something more than what I expected. But it took so long for me to get there. And sometimes it's how it is. Hindi talaga mabilis or hindi talaga ideal yung progress ng bawat isa. Minsan taon talaga ang itatagal bago natin makamtan yung mga bagay na pinaplano natin o mga bagay na gusto nating makuha. So technically, naiipit ako between progress and perfection. I've been delaying my progress because I want to be perfect already or I want to produce my content to do something perfect already. Pero hindi naman talaga ganun yun. It doesn't work that way. So right now, I'm still convincing myself that I will not be able to produce something good or I will not be good at something if I don't start my progress now. And it's quite hard to convince myself that because lumaki nga ako sa fact na I have to be great at everything that I do because people will not acknowledge or recognize me if I don't. So the bottom line is for us to start our progress first before aiming for perfection. I remember this TikTok that I saw nung time na nagti-TikTok pa ako na inexplain niya na aiming for perfection is only delaying our progress, is only delaying the things that we do. Because no matter what, you will not be able to do something perfectly. Kasi, paano ba? Kasi lagi kang takot magsimula. Kasi nga, ay, paano to? Baka hindi ko siya magawa ng tama. Baka hindi ko siya magawa perfectly. But, it's only delaying your progress. It's only delaying your growth. Kasi hindi mo yung nasisimulan yung dapat mong gawin. So I guess right now the thing that we should prioritize first talaga. The thing that we should prioritize first is for us to be able to start doing what we're supposed to do. I know it's quite hard at hindi ito pare-pareho sa mga tao. So don't mistake don't misunderstand this as a toxic positivity, but start whenever you're ready. But I hope that we don't use this as an excuse for not starting at all. Parang sabihin na lang natin every time na, okay, hindi pa ako ready eh. Tapos, sobrang tagal na pala natin yung sinasabi and we're just using that as an excuse pala for not starting talaga. So, hopefully, we'll still be able to balance things out. But, no matter how long it takes us, it takes you, as long as it gets you towards your goals, that's more than fine. That's totally okay. And don't let other people tell you otherwise na hindi yan okay, na ganito dapat mong gawin, ganito ka na dapat by this age. Okay lang yun. Hindi tayo pare-pareho ng takbo ng buhay. Kung may mga kaibigan tayong successful at age 22, 23, that's totally fine. Ikaw ang destined or ang plano ng Panginoon o ng mundo, kung ano man pinaniniwalaan mo, ay ang plano para sa'yo ay maging milyonaryo ka by the age of 40. That's totally fine. Again, hindi tayo pare-pareho ng takbo ng buhay. Hindi tayo pare-pareho ng process and progress. And that's the thing eh. Ito personal din to. I was judging my progress by comparing it to other people. Nabanggit ko kanina, I'm a huge fan of NBA. Naisip ko ang babata ng mga players na to, Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards. Sabi ko, mas matanda pa ako sa mga nito pero sila mga milyonaryo na at mahuhusay na sila sa mga karerang pinili nila. Pero it's just invalidating the process or the progress that I have. Kasi sobrang layo naman ng comparison na ginagawa ko. But still, regardless of the reason, sometimes comparison really kills the vibe, you know? It kills the motivation that we have personally. So hopefully we don't compare it to other people. We just look forward sa kung ano man yung goal natin. At again, kung gaano man natin katagal ma-achieve yun, as long as we're taking the right steps, kahit gaano katagal, kahit gaano kalit na steps, that's totally fine. And if the world is telling you the opposite thing, makinig ka na lang sa akin. That's totally fine. Okay lang. Huwag kang ma-pressure sa bulyaw ng mundo kung ano na dapat ang na-achieve mo by this time, kung ano na dapat ang laman ng bangko mo. As long as you're happy with what you're currently doing and as long as it's pushing you towards the things that you want to achieve in life, kahit gaano pa yan katagal, kung yun talaga ang destiny mo, kung yun talaga ang plano para sa buhay mo, it's totally fine. Okay? Okay. So, ayan, before I end, please follow the podcast and rate it wherever you're listening. It is going to tell the algorithm that it's somehow good and it will show it to more people so we can grow naturally. Anyway, that is it for me for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the things that we talked about today. And again, this is The Good Life with David. And I hope you have an abundance of everything good. God bless you. Until next time.